This animated movie released the same weekend as Avatar, and somehow nobody saw this coming. Christmas is usually shown as this warm, glowing season, full of celebrations, gift-giving, goodwill, and a heavy dose of biblical storytelling. And this year, that tradition arrives in animated form with David, a retelling of the legendary David and Goliath story, produced by Sunrise Animation. Now, let's be honest, releasing an animated biblical epic on the same weekend as Avatar is a bold move. Some would even say reckless. It's the kind of decision that instantly makes you stop and think, all right, this could go very wrong, because history hasn't exactly been kind to smaller films competing against massive blockbusters. Going into this movie, my expectations were extremely low, not because I hate animation, but because I'm clearly not the target audience. And when it comes to faith-based films, there's usually a pattern. Either the story becomes so complicated that it loses you halfway through, or it turns into non-stop preaching that completely kills the pacing. Surprisingly, David avoids both of those mistakes. What we get instead is a grounded, self-aware story centered around a genuinely likable main character. The film shows restraint, humor is used sparingly, never overstays its welcome, and the movie knows exactly when to step back and let emotional moments breathe. Visually, it's impressive. The animation quality and art design are far better than expected, easily standing alongside some major studio animated films. Add to that a story focused on courage, loyalty, faith, and determination, and suddenly this feels far more mature than its premise suggests. Yes, at just under 2 hours, it's a long watch. Younger kids might struggle with the runtime, but if you're going to tell this story properly without rushing or oversimplifying it, time is unavoidable. So let's talk about the story. We're introduced to David as a simple shepherd boy living far from power and politics. His quiet life changes when he risks everything to protect his sheep from a lion, a moment that instantly establishes his bravery. News of this reaches King Saul, and David is summoned to the royal court. Before David can even settle in, war breaks out. A neighboring kingdom invades, and two massive armies face off. Eventually, both sides agree to decide everything with a single duel, champion versus champion. That's when Goliath steps forward, a towering, seemingly unbeatable warrior. His presence alone destroys morale. No one dares face him until David steps forward, armed with nothing but a sling, a few stones, and unshakable belief. You already know how that ends. But here's where the movie gets interesting. Instead of stopping there, the story moves forward. Years pass, David grows into a man, and King Saul slowly realizes something terrifying. David is the one destined to replace him. Jealousy takes root. Fear turns into obsession. Saul begins hunting the very man who once saved his kingdom. While Saul is consumed by paranoia, his enemies regroup in silence. Old threats return, unfinished wars resurface, and the chaos he creates becomes the perfect opening for his rivals. Condensing such a long and complex biblical narrative into an animated film is not easy, especially one meant for families, and that's honestly where David succeeds the most. I'm not a religious scholar, but I know when a movie is boring, and this one never crosses that line. Most people only know the David and Goliath story as a lesson about brains over brawn, but this film explores what came before, and more importantly, what came after. And it does so in a way that's surprisingly engaging. The tone strikes a careful balance. There's light humor to keep things moving without undercutting the serious moments. The film also isn't afraid to explore darker themes: power, fear, moral conflict, especially impressive for an animated film. Visually, there's very little to complain about. Expressive character designs, detailed environments, and smooth animation throughout. It genuinely looks like a big-budget production. As for box office performance, that's complicated. Competition is tough, and Fire and Ash is entering the scene. I don't see David dominating the charts anytime soon. But perspective matters. It's still shorter than Avatar. And if you're looking for a family-friendly film that doesn't involve blue aliens or space wars, you could definitely do worse. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure you subscribe to the Star Buzz TV for more honest movie reviews and entertainment stories. And as for David, it's not perfect, but it's far more thoughtful, polished, and emotionally grounded than most people expect. And sometimes that's enough. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Star Buzz TV. See you in the next one!